So let's take a look at how we, for example, can create the emboss surface for the logo. And just as a reminder, the way how I created the logo curves is basically the same way how I created the offset curves. I had just a set of key point lines, which then I filleted together. And then when they were all filleted, then I created the offset curves for the inside. So how are we now projecting those curves onto this bottle and creating also a surface basically which is not inside but outside? So we are kind of like making a model that is on top of the surface. So there are two ways now how we can do this, and I'm actually going to apply nearly the same approach as before. So I am creating, actually I'm creating it here on this layer. So the surface I'm going to select for a moment. Here, my old initial surface. This surface I'm going to offset now again, but this time to the outside. Let's zoom in a little bit. And I don't really want it to be too far because the logo shouldn't be raised too much on the surface. So something like this visually seems to be good for me. Okay, and click offset. And I'm going to create a new layer. Let's call this one logo surface, and then the outer offset surface I'm going to assign to that layer. And then in a side view, with my logo curves turned on or visible, I'm going to project now the inner part of those curves onto that surface. So to do this, again, we go to project, select our surface, press spacebar, and then I can zoom in and draw carefully a selection around the different profiles and curves, and I try not to hit any curve that is part of the outside definition. Yeah, like this. Okay, let's double click it and make sure, maybe, yeah, x-axis, that is fine. And then I say project. And now there you see, we have those profiles projected as trim curves onto that surface. And then we can go ahead, trim, and say this surface, and that one, and that one. Just keep, and the rest remove. Here again, the alias tutorial had this logo split across two different surfaces, and then later on we have to create the blend surfaces between those in the main bottle. It's then again a really good breeding ground for modeling headaches, something you want to prevent. So single surfaces. Then I'm going to hide my logo surface because I have to project now the outer profiles onto my real body for my bottle. So I select the surface, select project, press spacebar, and then as you can see, I'm just selecting the outer curves. Make really sure that you really select all curves. For example, here you see there's a very small line in between, so don't forget it. And then project. And this time here, those surfaces we can simply discard. So I click discard. And it's gone. So let's hide those curves. And let's say hi to your best friend, the Command S. Never forget to save on a regular basis because Alias sometimes crashes unintendedly and then you have to restart. And like what we did with the surface offset here and then the blend, we again use the freeform blend tool. I'm going to set this one to 0 for a moment, and then I have chain select still activated. Okay. And then I'm going to create my blend surface. Between those two geometry parts. Something here is a little bit complicated. You see the geometry here is kind of even, kind of like you see those lines are perpendicular to the edges, but just here this concerns me a little bit because this line goes from here to this edge. It would be nicer if those lines would simply go the way how I'm moving my mouse tool. So I'm going to turn off the wire mode and try to take a look at it, how this surface might look like from here. Okay, undo. Let's redo this command. You to you. Yeah, okay. So this time the surface seems to, oh, see? It got rebuilt in a much better way because it was really twisted. So maybe just go one after one and then exit the tool and go to the next one instead of like what I did, try to work while the tool is activated on all the surfaces. And now I would like to set the curvature. So with the surface selected, I can go back and double click my freeform tool because as you can see, it pulls up the construction history, and then I can go ahead and say G1 and G1. Or maybe G2 in this case. This is really small and tight, so that maybe might be an issue for it. And I'm actually going to do the same here as well. Okay, so everything is blended perfectly together. So this looks quite good. However, because I'm using the construction symmetry, I'm ending up with this logo also on the other side. So in the next step, I'm going to show you how we are going to prevent this problem.